Hey there folks, I'm Alejandro Archibald and welcome to episode 3 of my food cooking show, Eats by Jerome. Now, here in Melbourne the weather's getting a bit colder, so I thought it'd be a great time to do an episode of something that I've been doing quite a bit of lately, which is making stocks or broths. Today we're just going to be making a pretty basic chicken stock, nothing too crazy, and then in later episodes I'll do some show about how to use them and all the different cool ways that I would probably use them. So, to start, what you're going to need, of course, a couple of chicken carcasses, and I've also got a few wing tips that I've reserved from making wings. Some celery, carrot, onion, brown or white, totally up to you, garlic, olive oil, good quality salt, some black peppercorns, some bay leaf, and a couple little extras which I like to use, but these are completely optional. There's some star anise, cinnamon, and a couple of chilies. Now, first thing we need to do is we need to chop up all our veg, just roughly chopped. I probably halve the carrot and onion. We still want it in big pieces because we are going to be slow cooking it in water for a long time. So let's get stuck into that. Okay, now that I've chopped up my veggies and I've put everything into these roasting pans here like so, and all my chicken carcasses and chicken wings I've also chucked into a roasting pan all spread out. Now the next thing we want to do, we're going to be roasting these, and what we want to do is to really sort of brown up that chicken and sort of caramelize some of the sugars in the veggies, which is going to create a much more complex depth of flavor in the stock. So the chicken here I've already salted overnight. You don't have to do that, but it's just something I like to do because I feel it really brings out the moisture and helps that chicken brown up quite nicely. So I'm really going to put a little bit extra salt on this one, and we're going to salt these veggies. Then we're just going to give both of these trays a little lashing of olive oil, which is also going to help them caramelize and brown up real nice. Now, all we have to do now is throw these in the oven. So I've got my oven set to 200 degrees Celsius, and we're going to put them in there for roughly 40 minutes. So you set yourself a timer, and then come back in about 30 to 40 minutes time to check on them, making sure they're all good. So we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, all you cool cats and kittens. So now that I've just taken out the chicken and our vegetables out of the oven, we're ready to chuck it into our big ass pot, and we're going to sort of slow cook that for a while. So, side note, the vegetables, of course, I forgot to mention this before, do take a lot less long to roast in the oven. So I took them out at about 20 minutes, and here's what we're working with. See, nice and roasted, lots of that Maillard reaction going on there. And that is our chicken carcasses, nice and browned. So this roasting is going to give us a lot more depth of flavor in our stock. So next step is simply just to chuck it in the biggest pot you have. So straight in there, we'll start with the chicken. Now all your veggies, just chuck them in a hole. It doesn't matter if there's stems and stuff still on them. Everything can just go straight in. Okay, now that we have our vegetables and chicken in the pot, the next step is to chuck in all our seasonings. So we'll start with the salt. Now remember, we have salted everything throughout the process so far, so don't go too crazy. You can always taste it later on and add some more. So I'm going to go with 1 tablespoon. Now over the next few hours while it's cooking, we're going to keep checking back and tasting it and potentially adjusting it each time. Then we want a couple of bay leaves. I like using dried because they're a lot more flavoursome. And roughly 4 to 5 depending on the size. Then we're going to do a tablespoon of whole black peppercorns. This is totally optional, but a little cinnamon quill in there. I also like using a couple star anise pods. Now I did add a little bit extra seasonings than you really have to for a pretty basic stock. That's just because this is what I like, and I think those flavors generally work with everything that I cook anyway. But I think a rule of thumb should be don't go too crazy with your sort of herbs and spices that you're throwing in there. Reason being is that the more somewhat, neutral, I guess, the more neutral your stock is, the more you can do with it later on down the track. So depending on whether you want to do some sort of Asian style noodle soup, you can chuck in extra, Asian-inspired spices later on, or if you want to make some risottos or other kind of, dishes including stock, you can always play around and add in stuff later on. So that's why at this point, don't go too crazy with it. Next, we need to add our water. So I've got about 4 litres here. Generally you just need enough to cover everything there. Now I've just about covered anything, but I kind of want a little more, so what I'm going to do is actually add another litre. So I've got 5 litres in total of water. Now just give that a quick little stir. Then all you have to do now, chuck the lid on. Then we want to bring that to a boil, and once it's boiling, turn the heat right down to like a gentle simmer. And then we're going to leave it there for about 3 to 4 hours. We'll continue to come back and check on it, but yeah, make sure we're going to let it sit there for a little while. Okay folks, so the pot has been brought to the boil and I've just turned it down to a gentle simmer. Now at this stage you might want to give it a little bit of a stir, but from here on out we're going to leave it to cook away slowly for roughly 3 to 4 hours. Now what you can do if you want is come back and check it every hour or so, and what you might see is some little like white bubbles forming on the top there. That'll just be all the excess fat. You're more than welcome to scoop that off if you want a really clear broth. I like to leave it and then just strain it off at the very end. There you go. See you in a few hours. Hey legends, so we had some technical difficulties where I seem to have deleted the last bit of footage for this episode before I took it off the camera. Whoops. But that's okay, because basically all that happened was, once we cooked the stock for 4 hours, I simply just strained it off through a mesh cloth into a bowl, and then you just package it and freeze it for whenever and whatever you want to do. Anyway, what I have done, so I've thrown in a little bonus recipe for you, so be sure to check that out. Alright guys, here's a little bonus recipe I thought I'd do, just to give you an idea of something you could potentially do with that chicken stock. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to make a risotto, but not really a traditional style, because just the way I am, I love messing around with stuff and mixing different flavors together. So what I'm actually going to do is make a risotto that's inspired by kind of Indian flavors, like curry leaf and turmeric and that sort of stuff. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fry up a little bit of curry leaf. So just one stem will probably do for this recipe. It's a little bit dried up, which is totally fine because all we're going to do is fry it. And so I'm just going to get a pot going, some hot oil, and as soon as that's hot, I'm going to throw it in. So I'm just going to strip that single leaf and throw it in there. Okay, once those leaves are nice and crispy, just scoop them out with a slotted spoon and chuck them in a bowl. Next we're going to be adding in our onion and garlic. Now what I've done here is I've actually grated the onion and garlic. This just really helps it to kind of dissolve real nice in the risotto. So I've got about half of a large brown onion and about 4 cloves of garlic in there. So that's straight in. I'm just going to gently stir that until it starts to brown. Now what we're hoping will happen here as well is the oil that we use to cook those curry leaves in are going to infuse into this and hopefully go right through the actual risotto. And once it's browned just very slightly, we're going to throw in a tablespoon of ground cumin and half a tablespoon of turmeric and just coat the onion and the garlic. This is already starting to smell pretty amazing. Now once that's lightly brown, you want to deglaze the pan. Now you can use white wine, but I'm opting for something a little richer, a little bit of dry vermouth. Just about maybe 50 mils or so of that. And just want to cook that for a couple of minutes until it's reduced down. Now once that's reduced, we'll be throwing in a healthy tablespoon of butter. And we just want to melt that down. Now once that's back up to temperature, we're going to throw in our rice. So I'm going to be using 1 cup of arborio rice here and throw that straight in. Now we're making risotto. General rule of thumb is you want about 4 times the amount of liquid than your rice. So over here in a pot, keep it warm, I've got 2 litres of our chicken stock that we made earlier. First thing we're going to do is we're actually going to just stir that rice around until it's well coated with the spices and the butter. Now we want to season that as well. So give it a couple of healthy pinches of salt. Now it wouldn't be Eats by Joe without a bit of chilli. So we're going to chuck in about half a teaspoon, or a full teaspoon, let's call it a full teaspoon, of dried chili flakes. I'm just going to stir that in until that's nice and fragrant. Now if you're starting to cough because of it, it's a good thing. Now this is where we start to add in our stock. So to start, we're going to add in about a cup's worth. And then from here, we're just going to be continually stirring. And once that liquid starts to reduce down, we're just going to start adding our stock in small increments at a time, roughly 100 ml. And then just continually stirring it. Now I'd recommend using some sort of spatula in this kind of shape. That way it really helps you scrape off everything off the side so that nothing sticks to the pot and burns. Now this whole process will probably take you somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes before you can be just about done. Okay, so I've been stirring this rice for a fair little while now. It is a bit of an arduous process, but I guarantee you'll be worth it in the end. Now just before you're ready to put your last little bit of stock in there, now's a good time to taste it, test it, see if it's almost ready, and as well to check the seasonings, whether you need to add more salt or pepper or anything, or more chili. Almost there. So I'll put my last bit of stock in. Now at this stage, I'm going to add a little bit of protein to this risotto. So I've got some sliced up turkey here that I cooked on the barbecue over coals yesterday. That's going to make a great little addition to beef this up a little bit. And of course you don't have to do that. The risotto will be pretty amazing without that, but it's just something I feel like doing at the moment. Now we're only stirring that through right at the end because it's already cooked. We don't want to cook it, we just want to reheat it right before this risotto is finished. Now once you've stirred it through, now is a good time to add in a little bit of extra butter just to give it a bit more of a richness. So we're putting in another rough tablespoon, and then you're only a few minutes away from finishing. So make sure to keep checking your rice at this stage, and once it's just al dente, that's a good time to take it off, remembering that there will be a little bit of residual residual heat that will actually finish cooking it. And also make sure that there is still a little bit of liquid left because you don't want it to be all gloggy and gross. When you serve this, you want it to kind of glide across the plate. There we have it, folks. My curry risotto that I literally just made up just then. Hope you enjoy this little bonus recipe. Just one of the millions of things you can do with chicken stock. If there's any ideas you have that you want to see me cook, feel free to leave me some comments. Now, I will give one other piece of advice. This goes great with a delicious Chardonnay. Cheers.